right, so a lot to unpack here. Let's turn to Jeff Moon. He's an international trade and government affairs consultant based here in Washington. Jeff, as our correspondent Owen mentioned there a few times, yes, the U.S. tone has changed, but really nothing else has, at least not yet, though the two sides are talking. I just want to get your take on that phone call.
Well, I think it was a very important positive step. It occurred on the eve of the Lunar New Year, which I interpret as a symbol of goodwill and maybe a desire to make a new start. It was essential for the top leaders to meet and agree to restart the conversation, which frankly has gone into the deep freeze for the last year. So I would sort of disagree. I think this is a significant change. If you look at the readouts of the calls, they agreed on the issues that need to be discussed. They disagree on whether and how all of those issues will be discussed. But now the people underneath them, the ministers and the staff, are now able to proceed when they're ready to discuss and resume the bilateral relationship. And in terms of the framework of the bilateral relationship, I would argue that Biden is farther ahead than any of his predecessors simply because the top leaders know each other so well. The staffs all know each other well. They've been promoted over the years. They all have discussed these issues in the past. They know how each other negotiates. So they'll be able to get down to business a lot quicker than previous administrations who have been a lot more disorganized have been able to.
So you do not believe, Jeff, that Biden's China policy will be a continuation of whatever that we saw in the whatever that was in the Trump administration?
Oh, I think it is completely different. Trump was issuing daily threats, insults during the last year of his administration and relying mostly on trade and tariffs for what conversation that there was. So we are now going to go back to the full range of issues. The issues are going to be split out and discussed separately. There are areas clearly where the two countries want to talk about cooperation, climate change being number one. There are areas where they agree they are going to have confrontation. That's these territorial issues, Xinjiang, Hong Kong, Taiwan. There are other areas where we know that they want to negotiate. They want to talk about reopening consulates, people-to-people exchanges, journalists coming back. They want to eventually talk about trade and other issues and sort of normalizing some relations there. So I think that the agenda is very clear through the public statements leading up to this conversation, and we have just formalized the restart of a broader relationship.
And those tariffs you mentioned on China that were imposed by the Trump administration are, I don't know, I mean, do you think they're here to stay? I guess it might be too soon because President Biden has only been president for what, 3 weeks?
Yeah, it's amazing how much he's accomplished in the short amount of time he's been in office. He has said that the tariffs are there to stay. He has said that he's in no rush to talk about the trade issues. In fact, just structurally, the head of the USTR, the U.S. Trade Representative's office, has yet to have a hearing and has not even been confirmed yet, although the staff is starting to fill in. So it's going to take time. I think there is probably an unspoken desire on the U.S. side, on the Biden side, to reduce the tariffs. They can do that in several ways. They could do that through negotiation with the Chinese, where the Chinese are accommodative on other issues. They could also broaden exclusions that currently apply to products subject to those tariffs. That's something that could be quietly, less public, but progress can be made on that issue. And Biden did not favor the tariffs. The business community does not favor the tariffs. So there's a desire in the U.S. to work this out.
What do you make of the Department of Defense establishing a task force to focus on the strategy toward China?
I think that every department that has a piece of the U.S.-China bilateral relationship, and actually this is an all-of-government exercise, is probably having similar exercises. They may not be as publicized as this Defense Department review, but all departments are having this kind of review because China touches on so many international issues in so many parts of the U.S. government that it only makes sense that after the chaos of the Trump administration, that the Biden administration would want to regroup, reassess the strategic situation, look at the issues, and come up with a fresh approach.
We'll leave it there. Jeff Moon, as always, thank you.
Thank you.